Hi guys, this is my review for Thor Ragnarok, and I saw it, I think like 5 days ago on the 2nd at like 7 p.m. when it first released at one of the theaters for, I guess, opening night. And this will be a spoiler review, but I think I'll give my overall thoughts first and then talk about spoilers later. So I'll probably only mention the trailers and I guess a few relationships, maybe. Or characters that were in the trailer. So Thor Ragnarok's mostly a comedy and I really enjoyed it. Kind of weird since it's different. It's more Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously, but with Thor, which seems out of place, but it kind of works, especially since comedy is the main focus. And Thor's almost the same character, but I guess hidden because of the comedy. And him and Thor work well together, and I enjoyed them both. And the villain is slightly better than the other villains we've seen so far. And there's not much to say since I feel like there's not that much plot there. But it's still a fun movie. And it did make me laugh a lot, so I do recommend it. But I think my favorite Marvel movie will still, like always, be Spider-Man Homecoming. Then maybe Logan. Then maybe Days of Futures Past, because I will always remember Professor X's speech to his younger self. But yeah, Spider-Man, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so that will always be up there. Guardians of the Galaxy is somewhere up there on the list too. But I think I shall talk about spoilers now. So it starts off with Thor trapped in, I guess technically, hell, or probably just the underworld. Well, this villain somehow captured him. Kind of wish we got to see how that happened, though. When he's trapped down there for a short while, he manages to escape with his hammer after he finally gets teleported out of there by the new person who guards the Rainbow Bridge. And he goes straight to Odin, who's Loki, and I haven't seen Thor 2, but I feel like it's not needed to see this movie, maybe. I've seen Thor 1. I've seen like all the Marvel movies except for the first Thor, Captain America 1, and Winter Soldier. Might see him one day. But basically, from what I can gather, Loki faked his death from at the end of Thor 2 and pretended to be Odin, which is kind of obvious since the way he acted as Odin was completely different. Since I remember Odin being serious and more stubborn, especially compared to his wife. Apparently his wife is dead too, which she probably died in Thor 2. But I'm still surprised no one noticed it was Loki pretending to be Odin and not Odin himself. Especially since he wasn't doing much, just laying around and watching plays of himself. But the people seem to be happy with that, at least. Anyways, Loki banished Odin to Earth, to an old person's home that got destroyed. Then they run into Doctor Strange, which I'm surprised he managed to master his powers so fully like that, but I guess really it's just knowing where everything is and teleportation magic. And then he tells him where Odin is, somewhere in Norway, I believe, or someplace like that, similar to it. Then of course they get to him just in time as Odin dies, even though I don't think a god can actually die unless it's usually always they have to be killed by another god. They don't just deteriorate over time. Or maybe he chose death. Could happen. Possibly. But then of course he tells his son he loves him and that he wants to be with his wife again. And that he never told him that they have a sister, which turned out to be evil too. And so 2 out of 3 of his kids turned out to be evil. But yeah, I guess Loki's still kind of evil since he did kill a lot of people. But I guess he's always trying to kill people. I still like him though. And of course, Hela shows up from her prison, destroys Thor's hammer, and forces him to use lightning throughout the movie. Which I'm surprised I never noticed that he is the god of thunder, but he rarely uses it. Which I guess makes sense. But then of course Loki gets scared and he tells the gatekeeper to teleport them back to Asgard, which is a bad idea since it leads Hela straight to there. Then of course Loki and Thor get lost, get thrown off course, and somehow end up on the same planet. Just Loki ended up there, I think, a few weeks earlier than him, possibly. Maybe Thor was just held captive for that long before the gladiator battle. When he becomes a gladiator, he fights the Hulk. Hulk wins, but Thor could have won if the Grandmaster didn't cheat and electrocute him and incapacitate him. But Thor is the god of thunder, so shouldn't electricity have, or zapping his nerves, have no effect on him? Maybe. Especially since it's technology versus god power. But oh well. On this planet, everyone loves the Hulk. Hulk's been trapped as the Hulk for 2 years. And I guess the Avengers just abandoned him. Didn't even try to search for him after Age of Ultron. Especially since they were more concerned with their civil war. I feel like they'd we should have tried to do something though, since he has been missing for 2 years. Eventually, Thor manages to escape since he has to get back to Asgard since Hela's like destroying it and basically killed the entire Asgard army and a bunch of side characters from the first Thor movie. And yeah, a lot of people died. I guess Loki's kill count is still higher than Hela's at this point, but as far as we know, but Hela probably killed more people than him since she helped Odin take over the Nine Realms. But that in turn would mean that Odin's kill count is pretty high too. But Hela's probably still the highest at this point. And Hela's strongest at Asgard, that gives her more power, and I guess she said she wants to conquer more than the Nine Realms since Odin just stopped at 9. So in turn, she'll probably want to conquer the entire universe? Maybe. But after Thor leaves Loki behind on that planet with the Grandmaster and starts a revolution, he escapes, gets back to Asgard, fights Hela, and tries to help Heimdall and the Asgardian people escape, all of its citizens. But of course, Hela's the goddess of death, so she's slowly too powerful. Her and her undead army she raised with the power of the eternal flame and her pet Fenrir, which the Hulk is busy fighting. And of course, then the one who replaced him though earlier, who then got turned into a janitor, then became Hela's executioner. Since he didn't want to die, but in the end he sacrifices himself for the people of Asgard, which is noble. And he did it all with machine guns. But Thor, I'm surprised he didn't try to defeat Hela by himself like the heroes usually do, but he brought in Loki after he came back to Asgard with the big ship, which shouldn't have enough room to hold all of Asgardian's people, since they took up a lot of that Rainbow Bridge. And I'm surprised no one fell off on their journey towards there. And he manages and tells him to go into the vault and put the crown that the villain of the underworld that wanted revenge against Odin had, put in the eternal flame, which will make him rise and grow as big as a mountain to defeat Hela and Asgard and destroy Asgard in the process. Which I guess is a good plan, but in turn that starts Ragnarok, which probably will lead to Infinity War. And I do wonder if Hela will show up in Infinity War, because she did get stabbed, but she's a goddess of death. I feel like it would be hard to kill her. And then she could always get brought back by the eternal flame if she did die. But yeah, overall, it was a good movie, and I did like the Hulk, and maybe I liked Banner a little bit more than the Hulk, since he was so serious. Especially since that one scene when he fell on the Rainbow Bridge after everyone was expecting him to Hulk out before he hit the bridge, but he didn't. That was probably the biggest laugh in the theater. And mine's too. And then just Loki always getting beaten in like every scene and brought down, and I feel like he didn't use that much magic. He used some illusion and duplicated himself, but that's about it. Maybe he can't do that much without his scepter with the Mind Infinity Stone. But he still learned magic from his mother. Should have more to show off, but oh well. And the side characters were great. The Rockman, who led the revolution, and then the Valkyrie, who was also an Asgardian and tried to fight Hela with a group of her comrades, but didn't manage to succeed, and apparently didn't die, but I guess one of her comrades saved her, and Hela just thought she was dead, or Odin got there in time to imprison Hela himself, which I guess he should have just done in the first place instead of sending a Valkyrie army, since technically it's his fault. Almost all of them died. So I can see how Valkyrie became a drunk and just decided to abandon Asgard. But she came through in the end. And maybe she'll show up in Infinity War too. But then the first post-credit, I guess mid-credit. Yeah, mid-credit scene was Thor and Loki talking about how Loki's not welcome on Earth after he did what he did in the first Avengers movies and led that army and destroyed most of New York. And Thor telling him it's okay, even though Doctor Strange himself was against Loki being there. And they encounter this big spaceship, which some say belongs to the villain for Infinity War, but my first thought was Sword, like the space version of S.H.I.E.L.D. But they haven't mentioned it before, so could be wrong, but that was my first gut instinct, especially since it was so huge. Then maybe the Guardians, but doubt they managed to get a big spaceship like that without stealing it. Then they have no reason to go to Thor's ship filled with his Asgardians. The only ones who would is the villain for Infinity War and Sword, since Loki's there. And the villain, because pretty sure Loki stole that, I guess, base? Well, the Tesseract. One of the Infinity Stones, the blue Infinity Stone. So, Loki has one. My Infinity Stone's still in Vision's head. And Doctor Strange has one. And Don't know about the others though. I feel like. Oh wait, yeah, and the Guardians had one. I don't know what they did with that stone though. After the first movie, maybe they still have it somewhere. Well, anyways, this was my review of Thor Ragnarok. It was a good movie. Definitely better than the other Thor movies, since I heard bad things about the second one. Might still watch it though. Just so everything connects a little bit better. And yeah, it was good as a comedy. And I liked Hela, but. And she did kill a lot of people. She was a good villain compared to the other villains, but. And I believed her as an actress. But I feel like they could do more plot wise, except for her trying to take over the universe or get revenge or both, since that tends to be all the villain's motivation. Should be more than just take over the world or revenge. Could be for like more selfish reasons or in their mind trying to save the world maybe by getting rid of superheroes maybe, or I guess it could work, or people with superpowers. Or maybe stop a virus or something through dark means, but the outcome is what both the heroes and the villains want, but not the methods to get there. But there's different possibilities if you stop and think it through. I just want like a slightly more complicated plot, which might happen in Infinity War, but it could just be Thanos getting the gems. Maybe the first part will just be Thanos gathering the gems and the Avengers trying to stop him but failing. And the second movie's just them all teaming up and trying to defeat him. That could happen. Or maybe Thanos changing the entire universe as we know it through the gems first. And I do wonder what the universe would look like if he shaped everything into his image. But I guess I won't know for sure until I watch it when it comes out in theaters.